Millionaire stuns everyone by saving an orphan girl left on a remote country road. The rain slammed down in sheets, turning the dark country road into a slick, dangerous ribbon through the night. Lightning split the sky, followed by a rumble that shook Nathan Reed's sleek black car. His knuckles tightened on the steering wheel as he pulled away from the glittering gala, an event where his ruthless deals and cold stare were on full display. Nathan was the kind of man who crushed anyone in his path without a blink. Empathy, that word might as well have been erased from his dictionary. But then something cracked. Far ahead, under the twisting shadow of an old oak tree, a small figure stood alone. A flicker of movement, a flash of pale skin drenched by the storm, and a trembling girl, no older than 10, soaking wet and shivering. His first instinct was to keep driving, avoid the distraction, spare himself the nuisance. But off in the distance, her desperate eyes caught his, and suddenly the world seemed to still. He swerved suddenly, tires screaming against the wet asphalt, and stopped with a hiss just inches from where she crouched, clutching a ragged backpack. The car's blazing headlights carved through the torrential rain, catching the wild fear in her dirt-smudged face. Nathan's breath hitched, a strange heat rising in his chest. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice sharper than he intended. She bit her lip, voice breaking. My parents, they're gone, left me here." The loneliness in her confession was a deafening silence. Nathan's tough exterior cracked. The cold businessman buried under the layers of silk suits and boardroom battles was suddenly a man staring down ghosts from his own past, an orphaned child he never admitted existed beneath his iron armor. His mind raced as the storm roared around them. Who left this girl stranded on a country road in the dead of night? Why here? Why now? What secrets were wrapped in the wet folds of her story? Nathan opened the door wider and motioned for her inside. She hesitated, then climbed into the luxury car that gleamed with a life so far removed from the mud and fear outside. As the heater kicked in, warming the cramped silence, Nathan watched her wide eyes take in the leather seats and polished controls. She looked fragile but fierce, like a tiny flame refusing to be snuffed out. The city lights blurred past as they drove through the storm, but inside Nathan's mind, everything stood still. He felt a lump rising in his throat, a tightening in his chest. Emotions he thought long dead began whispering, disturbing his untouchable shell. What was he doing? Why was he risking everything by caring? The press would eat this up. His rivals would circle like vultures. And yet, when Lily looked at him without a trace of fear, something shifted inside. Outside, thunder crashed again, thick with promise and menace. Nathan's world, expensive, controlled, cold, was about to collide with the raw, unpredictable force of a child's shattered past. And as the rain continued to fall, so did the walls he'd built so carefully around his heart. Who was this girl really? And what storm was about to break between them? Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. The storm raged outside, but inside the car, an uneasy silence hung between Nathan and the girl. He glanced at her every few seconds, trying to catch a glimpse of the girl behind those wide, frightened eyes. Lily was tense, gripping the edges of her seat like it was a lifeline. As the rain knocked relentlessly against the windshield, Nathan felt his resolve soften. This girl was all alone, lost in the world, just like he once had been. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in the cup holder, jolting him from the moment. He glanced at the screen. An unknown number. Frowning, he swiped to answer it, expecting a sales pitch or someone seeking his riches. But when he pressed the phone to his ear, the voice on the other end sent a chill down his spine. "Mr. Reed, you need to come to the warehouse now," a shaky voice ordered. "It's urgent, you're in danger." "What are you talking about?" Nathan replied sharply, his heart racing. He turned back to Lily. Her small figure was now visibly trembling in the dim light. "Wait here," he commanded, though he wasn't sure if she understood. "I'm not going," she whispered, but Nathan was already out of the car, the rain instantly soaking him. His instincts kicked in. Something wasn't right. He had built a life securing every detail, and now threats were floating just beyond his carefully constructed world. Nathan rapidly dialed one of his trusted associates. "I need you at the warehouse," he snapped. "Someone's coming for me, make sure the place is on lockdown." He barely hung up when his phone beeped again. Another unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "This is not a game, Nathan," the voice said, low and menacing. "You took something from us. Now we're taking something from you." Panic surged through him. Claire, his younger sister, the one person he had protected fiercely after their parents died. Had they found her? Memories of their childhood echoed, hiding under blankets during storms, swearing to always look after each other. The voice continued, cutting into his thoughts. "Find the girl, or you'll regret it." Fear crashed into his chest. He turned back to the car, and that's when he noticed Lily was gone. The back door swung open in the wind. "Lily!" he shouted, his heart racing. He ran, scanning the darkness, desperation clawing at him. Rain pelted his skin as he called her name again and again, but the only response was the echo of thunder. His heart pounded in his ears, a rhythm of panic as he dashed down the road. Then he spotted her, standing at the edge of the tree line, staring out into the dark woods. "Lily, come back!" But something wasn't right. She wasn't afraid anymore. A strange calmness enveloped her. "I have to go," she said softly, her eyes shimmering like the rain-soaked night. "It's time for the truth." "Truth? What truth?" Nathan pressed, his breath heavy, nerves on fire, and just like that, her demeanor shifted. The girl he had tried to help was gone, replaced by someone else. An icy smile crossed her face. "You don't understand, Nathan. You're not the only one with secrets." Before he could grasp what she meant, she stepped forward, and the air crackled with tension. In that moment, Nathan's skin crawled, an icy shiver of dread. The rain seemed to pause, the world around them holding its breath. "Lily, what are you saying?" With a swift movement, she lifted her backpack, revealing a tattered piece of paper, and whispered, "You're going to want to see this." Nathan felt a jolt of electricity shoot through him as she unfolded the paper. He took a step back, heart racing. The name scribbled across it was familiar, a name he had buried deep. "Wait, how do you know this?" He gasped, realization crashing down around him like the storm. Unbelievable fear mixed with a flicker of hope twisted in his gut. "Because," she said, her smile turning sharper, "I'm not just a little girl, Nathan. I'm the key to everything." As his mind reeled with the implications, a chilling question hung in the air. What had he done to deserve this revelation, and who was Lily really? Nathan's heart raced as he stared at the girl before him. "What do you mean, Lily? The key to what?" The question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Rain pounded around them, prickling his skin, but he couldn't focus on anything outside their chaotic bubble. Lily's icy smile unnerved him. "You don't even know who you really are, do you?" Her words sent a chill deeper than the storm itself. The world tilted, and Nathan felt his grip on reality slip. "Stop playing games, this isn't a joke." He snapped, desperation clawing at him. "What are you talking about?" She glanced at the dark woods, then back at him, eyes glinting like storm-driven glass. "The truth is, your life isn't what you think it is. None of it is real, Nathan." "What do you mean?" His breath quickened. "We're in the middle of a storm, you were abandoned, You were never abandoned," she interrupted, voice lowering to a dangerous whisper. "You were hidden, from the truth, from the world." Nathan's mind raced. What was she saying? Was this all a sick game? "Get in the car." "No." Lily's voice rang out, sharper than thunder. She stepped closer, her small frame suddenly imposing. "You think you know fear. You don't know who you're messing with. They will come for you if you don't know." Before he could respond, a guttural roar ripped through the night. A dark shape emerged from the tree line, looming and monstrous. Nathan instinctively stepped back, but Lily didn't move. She looked almost excited. Then, with blinding speed, the figure lunged. It felt unreal, shadows and rain collided as a man burst onto the scene. His clothes tattered, face caked in mud, he looked wild. "Run!" he screamed, panic exploding from his lips. "They're coming." Nathan turned, adrenaline flooding his veins. But before he could react, Lily stepped forward, raising her hand. "No, Jack," she called with an authority that stunned him. Jack froze, eyes darting between Nathan and Lily, confusion etched across his face. "What do you mean no? You don't understand. We have to go." Stay back, Nathan yelled, fear rising. What was happening? Jack's desperation mirrored his own, yet Lily remained calm, almost amused. They don't know who you are, Nathan, she said softly, almost teasingly. But they will, soon. They will want you back. Back, Nathan scoffed, disbelief warring with growing fear. Who wants me back? He glanced again at Jack, whose expression twisted in horror. Oh God, don't you see? They're here for you, for both of you. You have no idea what you've unleashed. Suddenly, a flash of light split the sky, a spotlight sweeping through the trees. Nathan's heart dropped. Voices followed, ominous and demanding. Get out of the vehicle. They called, echoing like a haunting refrain. Now, Lily's expression shifted, those playful eyes now filled with purpose. Time to end this, she said with an eerie calmness. Then she turned toward Jack, who looked awestruck. This is your moment. Your test. Show them who you truly are. Nathan felt cold tendrils of fear tighten around him. What are you talking about? But as the lights closed in, illuminating the dark night, it wasn't Jack who stepped forward. It was Lily. Despite the chaos, she seemed to glow, and Nathan felt a sinking dread, a realization that pulled at the very fabric of everything he thought he knew. No, you can't, he shouted, reaching for her. But she was already moving, stepping into the light. And then, with every heart-stopping beat, the truth unraveled. The shadows around them shifted, revealing figures that looked all too familiar. Faces he never thought he'd see again. Voices from a past long buried, and a secret so devastating that it turned his world upside down. Lily looked back, a knowing smile on her lips. Welcome home, Nathan. As the figures advanced towards them, a deafening silence blanketed the scene. What had he done? Who were these people? And why did it feel like the answers were just out of reach? Lily stepped into the light, her figure almost glowing against the backdrop of shadows and rain. Nathan felt the world tilt, as if reality itself was shifting. The figures advancing toward them looked like ghosts, old, haunting specters from his past. Faces he swore he'd buried. Welcome home, Nathan, Lily said again, and for the first time, there was something in her voice that sent a cold shiver down his spine. Suddenly, the ground trembled and the looming darkness shifted. A low rumble filled the air, a sound not of thunder, but of something primal. A chill ran through Nathan as lightning flashed, illuminating the scene in a stark, white glow. The people from his past, his parents. No, they were gone, lost in tragedy years ago. Silhouettes became clearer, showing young faces twisted in anger and betrayal. Friends turned foes, allies now standing with shadows. Lily, who are they? Nathan's voice trembled, barely a whisper through the roar of the storm. They are here to take you to your true family, she said coolly, her youthful face now lacking the innocence he had seen moments before. You are more than a simple businessman, Nathan. You're a part of something much bigger, something they want back. What was she saying? His family? Threats. A deep dread curled in his gut. He had a family, a sister he protected fiercely. Shadows emerged beside him, outlining Jack, the wild man still breathing heavily, eyes wild with confusion. We need to go, Jack shouted, glancing nervously at the advancing figures. This isn't safe, you don't know what they're capable of. But it wasn't the figures that terrified Nathan. It was Lily, her calm, her control. What do you want? He croaked, trying to keep the fear at bay. They need you, Nathan, she breathed, stepping closer. You don't understand. You've been lost in this facade for too long. They want to reclaim what is rightfully theirs. And then, as another bolt of lightning illuminated their surroundings, Nathan's heart dropped further into despair. He saw it clearly, an emblem on the figure's clothing, one he had only seen in old photographs tucked away in dusty boxes. It was a symbol of his family's legacy, a legacy he had rejected to forge his own path. Wait, you can't just... He stumbled over his words, feeling the ground beneath him start to shake. In an instant, the air was split open by a deep, resonating blast. The figures were right at his side now, and Nathan could see their faces, his face intertwined with their expressions. Shock came flooding in. One of them was a younger version of himself. No. With a swift movement, the ground around them erupted, shifting, splintering as bright light speared through the earth. The shockwave knocked him off his feet. Nathan gasped, scrambling to regain his balance as voices shouted through the chaos. Get him now, they screamed, urgency slicing through the storm. But as the darkness enveloped him, everything blurred. The scene shifted like the rapid frames of an old film. Suddenly, Nathan was no longer on that desolate road, but in a grand hall filled with luminous figures. "Welcome back, Nathan," a voice echoed, soothing yet haunting. A figure stepped forward, a woman with piercing blue eyes, holding something close to her heart. "We've waited so long for you to return." Heart pounding, Nathan felt a tug of recognition, mingling with an unfamiliar dread. Who was this woman? Why did she feel so achingly familiar? "Your time has come," she said softly, raising her hand. "Embrace your past or lose everything you've built." The chaos around him faded, and all he could focus on were her words. What did it mean? Did he really want to return to this? Lily surged forward again, eyes glistening with determination. "The truth is the only path forward, Nathan. You have to choose now." And in that moment, as the unknown loomed, Nathan stood at the brink. Who was he truly? What had he really walked away from? And more importantly, what secrets bound him to this girl and those figures? As the storm raged on, so did the questions in his mind. The answers felt dangerously close, yet impossibly far. Would he embrace his true lineage, or would he fight to keep his past buried forever? Lily stepped into the light, her figure almost glowing against the backdrop of shadows and rain. Nathan felt the world tilt, as if reality itself was shifting. The figures advancing toward them looked like ghosts, old, haunting specters from his past. Faces he swore he'd buried. "Welcome home, Nathan," Lily said again, and for the first time, there was something in her voice that sent a cold shiver down his spine. Suddenly, the ground trembled and the looming darkness shifted. A low rumble filled the air, a sound not of thunder, but of something primal. A chill ran through Nathan as lightning flashed, illuminating the scene in a stark, white glow. The people from his past, his parents. No, they were gone, lost in tragedy years ago. Silhouettes became clearer, showing young faces twisted in anger and betrayal. Friends turned foes, allies now standing with shadows. "Lily, who are they?" Nathan's voice trembled, barely a whisper through the roar of the storm. "They are here to take you to your true family," she said coolly, her youthful face now lacking the innocence he had seen moments before. "You are more than a simple businessman, Nathan. You're a part of something much bigger, something they want back." What was she saying? His family. Threats, a deep dread curled in his gut. He had a family, a sister he protected fiercely. Shadows emerged beside him, outlining Jack, the wild man still breathing heavily, eyes wild with confusion. "We need to go," Jack shouted, glancing nervously at the advancing figures. "This isn't safe. You don't know what they're capable of." But it wasn't the figures that terrified Nathan. It was Lily, her calm, her control. "What do you want?" He croaked, trying to keep the fear at bay. "They need you, Nathan," she breathed, stepping closer. "You don't understand. You've been lost in this facade for too long. They want to reclaim what is rightfully theirs." And then, as another bolt of lightning illuminated their surroundings, Nathan's heart dropped further into despair. He saw it clearly, an emblem on the figure's clothing, one he had only seen in old photographs tucked away in dusty boxes. It was a symbol of his family's legacy, a legacy he had rejected to forge his own path. "Wait, you can't just..." He stumbled over his words, feeling the ground beneath him start to shake. In an instant, the air was split open by a deep, resonating blast. The figures were right at his side now, and Nathan could see their faces, his face intertwined with their expressions. Shock came flooding in. One of them was a younger version of himself. No. Before he could grasp the gravity of the moment, the world exploded into chaos. The ground surged, fissures cracking open. Dark tendrils reached up, wrapping around his legs, and Nathan fought against the pull. "Jack, help me," he shouted, panic igniting as the figures loomed closer. But Jack was frozen, eyes wide, unable to move. Then, without warning, the shadows shifted, and one figure surged forward. It was a woman, her features strikingly familiar. She stepped into the dim light, and Nathan's breath hitched. "Mom!" he gasped, disbelief coursing through him. The woman, his mother, extended her hand, her expression a mixture of love and sadness. "Nathan, it's time. You need to remember who you really are." "But you," Nathan stammered, confusion churning in his stomach. "You died, you and Dad." "Yes," she said softly, "but we didn't leave you. We had to protect you from them." "From who?" he pressed, urgency drowning his reason. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed, and within moments, everything crystallized. The figures began to merge, forming sharp angles and twisted reflections. They became one entity, and the darkness pulsed rhythmically, like a living thing. "Your legacy is alive, Nathan," Lily said, stepping back into the shadows. "You must decide, remain buried in this life or embrace your true power." His world was collapsing around him. The storm howled, the ground quaked, and just as Nathan made eye contact with his mother, there was a blinding flash. Then silence. Nathan found himself in a cavernous room, illuminated by soft amber light. The familiar faces were gone, replaced by fleeting images dripping with darkness. And in place of Lily stood a mirror, a reflection twisted and warped. It wasn't him, but a version of himself he had never seen. He tried to move, but found he was frozen in place, bound by some invisible force. The echoes of laughter filled the room, creeping under his skin. "Who are you?" Nathan shouted, but no answer came. Instead, he felt a pull, and for every second that passed, it felt as though a piece of his very essence was being stripped away. "What do you want from me?" But there was no reply. Only the dark mirror, pulsating before him, smiling back as if inviting him to step closer. And then another voice emerged from the depths, not his mother, not Lily, but a deep, resonant tone. "You are the key, Nathan. The key to everything that has been hidden and everything that has been lost." With that, the mirror shattered, enveloping him in darkness. Nathan felt himself splintering, memories unearthing like weeds. The answers he had always sought slipped through his fingers, and in their wake, a question echoed hauntingly. Who was he really? Nathan stood in the darkness, the shattered mirror of his past swirling in his mind. The weight of reality pressed in around him, but just as questions began to form, the room exploded. A blinding flash pulled him forward, deeper into the chaos. He landed hard on cold, gritty ground. The thunder roared overhead, but the storm was nothing compared to the roar of conflicting emotions raging in his heart. He blinked against the disorientation, frantic to find Lily, to understand. Was she safe? More than that, was she even real? Around him, the world came into focus, a drenched, misty clearing. The figures were gone. The shadows had vanished into the night, but Nathan felt a presence looming. Then, a loud crash behind him made him whirl around. He squinted through the downpour and saw a hulking shape materializing from the fog. It was Jack, sprinting toward him, soaked and gasping for breath. "Nathan, we have to move. They're coming." Jack's voice was frantic, his eyes wide with fear. "Who's coming?" Nathan barked, adrenaline spiking. "Where's Lily?" Jack hesitated, and Nathan felt a tightening in his chest. "Lily, she's not what you think." "What do you mean?" A lump lodged in Nathan's throat. "She saved me." "No, Nathan, she led you here." Jack's voice dropped to a whisper, urgency churning with dread. "She's part of them. They're using her to get to you." Nathan stumbled back, every nerve in his body firing. "What? No, she's just a girl. She needs help." Jack shook his head, desperation etched on his face. "You don't understand. She was never alone. She's got a mission, and we're caught in the crossfire." Before Nathan could process Jack's words, darkness loomed again. The air thickened, crackling with energy. Figures appeared in the fog, pale, ominous shapes advancing slowly, their faces obscured. "Time's up, Nathan." A voice boomed from the shadows. It was commanding, deep and piercing, cutting through the storm like lightning. Nathan felt the blood rush from his head. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, voice shaking. But just as the figures drew closer, a bright light erupted, like a beacon breaking through the darkness. Moments later, Lily stepped into the glow, her presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. "Enough!" she commanded, with an authority that draped over the scene. The tension held everyone captive, and for a fleeting moment, all was still. "Lily, no," Nathan's voice quaked. He couldn't believe Jack's warnings. "Please come back, this isn't you." She smiled, but it was cold, like a wave crashing against jagged rocks. "Nathan, I've always been with you. It's time you knew the truth." And before he could protest, she raised her hand, and the darkness flickered like a dying ember. Suddenly, a scene erupted before them, a vivid display of memories, twisting through time and space. Images rushed by, young Nathan laughing with friends, a birthday cake, family meals, only for those tender moments to bleed into chaos. Shadows lurking, whispers of conspiracy encircling their lives. In horror, Nathan saw his parents' faces twisted with anguish, pleading with him through the fragments of time. "Stop it!" he screamed, clutching his head, nothing making sense. "What is this?" Lily took a step forward, nearer to the light. "This has always been your legacy. Your family's legacy. You were chosen for a purpose that's greater than you've ever known." The figures began to hum, their forms twisting and blurring, until Nathan recognized familiar faces emerging from the darkness, his own family, returning as specters of his nightmares. "Wait," he gasped, comprehension dawning. "It can't be." But as everything started to make twisted sense, the ground shook violently beneath them. A chasm opened, swallowing the light and their shadows, shattering the moment entirely. "Nathan!" Jack screamed, reaching for him but losing his grip. Time slowed. The figures turned, faces contorted in anguish. The reality settled heavy in Nathan's heart. Lily's hand clenched tighter around the amulet she wore, revealing a mark he had seen before, once hidden in the attic of his childhood home. "Nathan, the truth isn't what you think. You're not just a businessman. You're part of something darker." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Nathan couldn't breathe. Everything he thought he knew shattered like the mirror moments before. Before he could scream, the world collapsed into darkness again, and his senses exploded. He couldn't grasp what was real anymore. Faces loomed, whispers echoed, a truth so profound that it shook the very foundation of his existence. And in that spiraling darkness, one last thought pulled at him. What if everything he had achieved was built on a lie? What if the girl meant to save him was the key to his downfall? As silence engulfed him, Nathan faced the darkness alone. Would he ever uncover the truth? Or was he doomed to repeat the cycle, trapped inside a story where he could never find his way out? Nathan stood in the darkness, uncertainty crowding his mind. Each breath felt heavy, as if the air itself was thick with dread. The storm still raged, lightning flashing across the sky in stark bursts that illuminated the shadows around him. Was this truly his fate? Would he be forever lost in a web of secrets tied to a girl he thought was innocent? Then, from the depths of the shadow, Lily's form shimmered, her eyes glinting with a strange mixture of pity and determination. "What are you so afraid of, Nathan?" she asked, stepping closer, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "You know the truth is right in front of you. Stop!" he shouted, the urgency in his voice rising. "You're not making sense. What truth? Who are you really?" But she only smiled, a smile that sent chills racing down his spine. "Trust me, you need to embrace what you've been hiding from all along." Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the silence, echoing through the night like a gunshot. Nathan's heart raced. What was that? Fear coursed through him like ice water. The ground trembled beneath them, waves of energy rippling outward, threatening to swallow everything whole. In that instant, the air shimmered, and all at once, the shadows parted dramatically. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, wrapped in darkness. "Lily!" Nathan shouted, his voice tinged with panic. The figure took a step forward. The chaos around them faded. All eyes turned to the figure as it stepped into the light. And there she stood, his mother, clearer than before, alive again, but confusion flooded his senses. "What? Mom?" he gasped, tears blurring his vision. You're here. Listen to me, Nathan." She urged, her voice firm yet gentle. "They've found you. You're in danger. We need to leave now." As she spoke, the figures around them twisted into forms that felt familiar yet wrong. Why did you leave?" Nathan's words shattered like glass. "I thought you were gone, all those years. We had to protect you," she interjected, urgency tightening her features. "Your past is more than you know, Nathan. It's too dangerous, too powerful." But before he could wrestle with this revelation, another figure appeared, this one menacing, tall with wild eyes that blazed like fire. "Enough of this," the stranger roared. "Nathan, read his hours. You can't hide him any longer." Everything felt like quicksand. "What do you mean yours?" he yelled, shaking. "I'm not anyone's, I have my life." But the man laughed, a chilling sound that cut through Nathan's resolve. "You think you've escaped your legacy? The truth was hidden, but it will come to light. We've always known where you were. The girl, she was our key." "No," Lily shouted back, her eyes flaring with unyielding fire. "He's not going anywhere with you." The ground shook again, and everything fell silent. The atmosphere grew dense. Nathan felt an unspeakable weight in the air as he turned towards Lily. "What did you mean? You have to tell me." And just as he felt the weight of her gaze, everything shattered again. The lightning struck, illuminating a twisted tableau. Jack was flipping through a collection of photographs, grim and soaked with rain. The faces stared back at them, all familiar. His own face was among them, but the others were faces of people he'd never seen before, people who looked almost identical to him. Jack, what are those? Nathan's heart raced, trying to connect the pieces. Relatives, Jack said, voice trembling. You don't understand, they're not what you think. There's a reason you've been hidden. And all at once, reality closed in like a vice. Lily, his mother, Jack, what if they were all perfectly woven into a lie? I don't understand. What are you saying? Nathan choked out the words as panic tightened his chest. The figure stepped closer, revealing a small pendant, a family crest that burned with vivid energy. You belong to us, Nathan. You have powers, more than you can imagine, but they'll never let you unlock them unless you surrender completely. And in that moment, Nathan felt the floor drop out beneath him, a horrifying realization dawning. What if everything he had built was tied to a legacy that wanted him back, a past he had run from his entire life? Lily, are you with them? He asked, the lump in his throat threatening to choke him. Her expression shifted. Nathan, But before she could finish, the shadows exploded, swirling like a vortex. Nathan braced himself, grappling with sudden isolation as everything twisted and fell. In that breathless moment, just when it seemed his life was about to shatter, a surge of power erupted from Lily, illuminating the entire clearing. As his world pulsed with energy, Nathan's heart raced with one final thought: what if this was just the beginning of an unimaginable truth, one that could tear apart everything he thought was real? Choose, Nathan. Lily's voice echoed above the chaos, piercing through the storm. Choose who you want to be. As the darkness engulfed him once more, one question lingered above the tempest. Who would he become amidst the truth, the power, and the hidden legacy that awaited him? The storm was a deafening roar, but nothing compared to the silence that followed Lily's words. The air shimmered with tension as Nathan stared into her eyes, the weight of her revelation settling heavily on his chest. Choose, Nathan, she urged, but her tone had shifted. It was no longer filled with warmth. It felt cold, calculated. As the shadows closed in, the ground trembled violently below them, and Nathan's heart raced. I can't, he gasped, confusion swirling as the fabric of reality unraveled around him. He glanced at Jack, whose expression was a mix of disbelief and urgency. We have to get out of here now, Jack shouted, a glimmer of panic flaring in his eyes. Then, in a blink, everything changed. A blinding light erupted, more intense than before, and Nathan squinted against its brilliance. Time slowed as the reality around them twisted and warped. The storm's fury felt distant, like a fading echo, as visions surged through his mind. Memories, twisted reflections of his life, flashed by, then merged into a singular moment. Lily! He managed to call out, but no sound escaped as she stepped back, disappearing into a blinding glow. The figures around him began to dissolve, blurring together until they vanished into shadows. Wake up, a voice screamed. Nathan snapped awake, gasping for breath, disoriented. The surroundings were no longer stormy. He found himself in a dimly lit room. The air was thick, stagnant, and an overwhelming sense of dread suffocated him. Had it all been a dream? But then he saw her, standing across from him, her posture regal and intimidating. It was Lily, but she was different. Her hair cascaded like flames, her eyes gleaming with a power he had never seen. This wasn't the scared girl he'd rescued. This was someone else entirely. Where am I? Nathan's voice trembled. Panic clawed at him as he realized he was no longer on the road, but in an unfamiliar space. You're in my world now, Lily said coolly, her lips curving into a smirk. Welcome to the Nexus. Nathan felt his stomach drop. What do you mean your world? Fear swept through him. Everything you've been told is a lie, she said, stepping closer, a predatory glint in her eye. You were hidden for a reason, Nathan. I was sent to guide you back to your true self. But there's more. Her gaze flickered, darkness passing through her expression like a cloud. Before he could process her words, the floor rumbled again, as if alive. Shadows danced on the walls, and an ominous figure emerged from the darkness behind her. It was a man cloaked in shadows, his eyes glowing like coals. Stop playing games, Lily, he growled, his voice resonating with authority. You know the consequences if he finds out. Finds out what? Nathan shouted, thrown into a whirlwind of confusion and dread. Lily's expression hardened, the warmth fading from her eyes. Nathan, this isn't what you think. You aren't just part of a legacy, you are the legacy. You're part of something so powerful, it could destroy everything we know. With a wave of the man's hand, Nathan was flooded with memories, terrifying visions of destruction, battles waged and lost. His hands trembled as he watched images of fire and chaos, then a face emerged amidst it, a face that looked eerily like his own. "No," he whispered, backing away. "This can't be true. It's time to face your past," the man intoned. "Your family wasn't just a legacy. They were the architects of a force that could unmake reality, and you carry its weight." Suddenly, the world shattered again, flipping everything he believed on its head. Nathan clasped his head, the pain of realization a searing fire. All his life, he was told tales of being an orphan, a survivor. But he was born into something far darker. "Lily," he gasped, desperation in his voice, "are you saying I was never alone? That—" "Yes, Nathan," she interjected sharply, stepping forward. "You have a power that is awakening, but it comes with a choice. To embrace it or to run from it, but they will find you, they always do." The man nodded. "And if you choose wrongly, everything you know and everyone you love will pay the price." This time, Nathan's heart raced for real. The question hung heavy in the air. What price would that be? And as the shadows closed in, he felt everything unravel. What if the truth was more dangerous than he ever could have imagined? Would he have the strength to choose? Or would he turn his back on everything? Nathan stood frozen, the weight of Lily's revelation suffocating him. "You're a part of something so powerful," echoed in his mind, mixing with the urgent words of Jack, who was still trying to catch his breath. The oppressive atmosphere around them thickened, amplifying his dread. The looming figure of the man in shadows became a monstrous weight, pressing down relentlessly. "What choice?" Nathan croaked, desperation tightening his throat. "What do you want from me?" The air felt electric, but he couldn't see the sparks, only darkness swarming around him. Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the tension. Jack recoiled, eyes wide with horror. The scream wasn't just a response to the chaos. It reverberated as if it had echoed from somewhere deep in the shadows. Nathan's heart raced. It felt as though the earth itself was splitting beneath them. In an instant, the figure in darkness lunged forward. "No more games," he shouted, lunging toward Nathan. But before the blow connected, a blinding light bathed the space. A pulse echoed, and in that moment, everything changed. With a jarring explosion, a portal ripped open behind them, swirling with vibrant colors and strange sounds. The man stumbled back, caught off guard, as dark tendrils shot out, wrapping around him like serpents. "What? No!" he roared, trying to break free as he was pulled into the vortex. "Run!" Jack yelled, grabbing Nathan's arm and yanking him toward the portal. The light grew stronger, pulling them in, and Nathan felt a rush of warmth suffusing his fear. "Don't look back." As they tumbled into the light, time warped and twisted around them like a wild river. They landed hard on solid ground. Staring up at a sunny blue sky, Nathan blinked, disoriented. What just happened? He pushed himself up, looking around. They were in a vast meadow, flowers blooming brilliantly in every direction. But the peaceful scene shattered when he spotted Lily standing in the distance, her expression calm and serene. Relief washed over him until Jack stepped forward, eyes blazing with anger. "This is your fault," he bellowed, pointing at her, rage boiling over. "What are you talking about?" Nathan interjected, confusion swirling in his stomach. "She helped us." Jack stepped closer, eyes never leaving Lily. "She led us right into their hands. All this time, she's been manipulating you." Nathan's heart sank, confusion swirling into something darker. "What? No, she saved us." He glanced between them, panic creeping in, but Jack's gaze hardened. "You don't see it. The way she knows everything about you, about your past, it's all part of a game. She's not who she seems." Lily's calm facade wavered slightly, but she quickly recovered. "You don't understand, Nathan. I was your guide, yes, but I had to keep you safe from them." "The truth is," before she could finish, the quiet of the meadow erupted as dark figures appeared from beyond the blooms. Each one stepped through the air like shadows released from chains, their faces familiar yet wrong. "Lily!" Nathan shouted, stepping closer to her, but the recognition hit him hard as the largest figure stepped forward, an echo from his past. No, it can't be. It was a man he thought long gone, his father standing before him, a phantom from a memory twisted by time. "Dad," his voice trembled as disbelief clawed at his chest. "But you died, I saw you die." The man's gaze was cold, devoid of the love Nathan remembered. "You've been kept in the dark for too long, son," he growled, eyes glinting with ancient power. "Lily has been training you, but now it's time for the real truth to come out." And in that crushing moment, everything flipped. All the secrets, the fears, the pain weighed down into one devastating thought. Was Lily leading him back into the arms of those who had tried to control him all along? Lily stepped forward, her expression shifting again, more resolute this time. "Nathan, you must choose, embrace the power within you or let it consume you." Nathan's world was collapsing. Everything he thought he knew was unraveling. "But I don't know what that means," he shouted, the weight of reality pressing down on his chest. And just when he thought he might break under the pressure of it all, Lily turned towards him, her eyes locking onto his with a fierce intensity. "The truth is, Nathan, everything you've known is a lie. And you have the power to change it all, but only if you trust what you've been running from." In that heartbeat, as shadows closed in again, he felt the ground shake. Could he unveil the truth? Or would he remain lost in a world painted with lies? The choice seemed impossibly heavy. Nathan's heart raced as he faced the man who claimed to be his father. The past he thought was far behind was, in fact, drawing closer, threatening to engulf him in darkness. "This can't be real," he shouted, desperate for clarity. Jack stayed close, eyes darting between Nathan and the looming figures. "Don't listen to him," he urged, voice tight with fear. "You're not the monster they say you are." Lily stepped forward, her fiery presence illuminating the shadows. "You have a choice, Nathan. Embrace who you are and take back what is yours." The weight of her words pressed down on him. Who was he really? The businessman he pretended to be, or something far more powerful? Something dark and ancient that resonated with the pulsating energy around him. The dark figures shifted, revealing glimpses of their true power. "Join us, Nathan," his father intoned, the familiarity of the voice carrying an echo of a long-forgotten warmth. "This is your legacy. You belong with us." "No," Nathan roared, shaking his head, fighting against the pull of his past. "I refuse to be a pawn in your game." The energy crackled between them, thick with tension. Jack leaped forward. "You can't inherit that darkness." "Fight it, Nathan. You've built a life away from this. Don't let it destroy you." In that moment, their eyes met, Nathan and Jack, each holding on tightly to the thread of their shared reality. The storm that had raged inside Nathan began to simmer, urging him to summon his resolve. He turned to Lily, who stood resolute, a flicker of hope gracing her features. "We can face this together." "I believe in you," she said, offering a hand. A gentle spark ignited between them, filling him with warmth. Through clenched teeth, Nathan focused on her words. "Together," he echoed, tuning into the power he had fought against for so long. As the shadows pressed in, he felt something stir inside him, a connection to the energy that flowed among his ancestors, forgotten yet potent. "Are you ready?" Lily asked softly, eyes shining with determination. Nathan sucked in a breath and nodded. "Let's end this." With a surge of energy, they both raised their hands, channeling the light within and pushing back against the overwhelming darkness. The air sparkled with energy as the figures faltered, their forms twisting in reaction. "No, you cannot defy us," his father yelled, the fear mingling with rage, but Nathan's defiance only grew stronger. "I choose my own path." Blinding light exploded from their hands, enveloping the figures of the past. The shadows wailed, the sound echoing like a fading storm. Slowly, the darkness receded, unraveling the hold it had on him. In that moment, clarity washed over Nathan. He wasn't just someone running from the past, he was a bridge between two worlds. As the shadows distorted and shattered, leaving only the calm of the meadow, Nathan turned to his mother's figure. For the first time, he felt compassion instead of fear. "Thank you," he whispered, knowing she had fought to protect him. Finally, Nathan let go of his burdens, embracing the truth that had eluded him for years. He could choose his own family, define his own legacy. The sun shone warmly on his face, the meadow alive once again, cradling them in its embrace. Jack grinned widely, relief flooding his features. "We did it!" Lily stepped closer, a bond of friendship forged from their struggle. This is just the beginning, she said, a new spark igniting in her eyes. Together, we can change everything. Where do we go from here? Nathan asked, hope bubbling within him. Wherever we want, Jack replied confidently. And as they turned to face the horizon, filled with possibilities, questions still lingered. What adventures awaited them? What other truths were hidden on the path ahead? The next journey had just begun. Before you go, there's something incredibly important to do. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Click that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And please, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how it all wraps up. Now is the time to show your support. Don't wait another second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions. Let's keep this momentum going.